Good evening, San Francisco viewers. I'm Spenser Shuler. On November 1st, 1968, police say their only clue in a brutal murder of a pretty 18-year-old woman was a man's wristwatch found 10 feet from her slashed body. Officers speculated that while Cherry Jo Bates, a blonde cheerleader, studied Sunday night at the River City College Library, her killer disabled her car. Miss Bates' body was stabbed in the back and her throat was slashed. It was found early Monday morning under a tree 100 feet away from her car. The ignition key was in place in the compact car, but the distributor and the coil wire had been torn loose, police said. Officers said an anonymous caller telephoned saying she had heard a terrified scream Sunday, then a muffled scream, then a car driving away. The caller said that she didn't think it was mysterious enough to report until Monday. Her friend described Miss Bates, a spring graduate of Ramona High School, as a well-liked and average student.
Good evening, San Francisco. I'm Matthew Fredbloom. Breaking news. Police detectives assigned to research the connection between the 1968 death of Mrs. Bates and Northern California's Zodiac killer are currently concentrating their efforts on Riverside City college records. They hope to find a duplicate of the wavering, uneven handwriting which was found on a desk at RCC sometime after the death of Miss Bates, who was a student at the college in 1966. It is the handwriting that a state expert has identified as the same as that on notes sent to a San Francisco newspaper by the Zodiac killer. The writing on the desk was in the form of a poem which police believe has a connection with the death of Miss Bates. The handwriting will be checked to see if there is any connection with the writing on the desk, said Captain Cross, head of the detective division. Cross would say that the handwriting samples being checked come from a lot of people who attended RCC that year, as detectives continue their hunt for the writer of the poem and the other notes. The public continues to provide them with leads to check. Cross said since the hunt for the Zodiac was moved to Riverside, the department has gotten some 20 letters and a like number of phone calls from persons who felt they had information for the police. All the calls which seem to have some substance are investigated, said. The police became active in this case when a San Francisco newspaper brought to their attention the similarities between notes received to Riverside shortly after Mrs. Bates' death and those from the Zodiac.
Good evening, San Francisco. I'm Spenser, and a missing Tahoe nurse family offers a reward. A $500 reward has been offered for information leading to the location of Miss Donna Lass, a Staline casino nurse who disappeared, leaving no trace last September. John Miller, a private investigator employed by the woman's family to continue the search for her, said reward had been offered by the family. Information should be sent to him at P.O. Box 470, Des Moines, Iowa. Miss Lass, which was 25, was last seen September 7th walking with a young blonde man near the apartment she had rented for the day before and never lived in. She left behind a new car, a bank account, and a large wardrobe. South Lake Tahoe Police Lieutenant John Crow said the case is still in the department's active file, but detectives had followed every lead to a dead end.
Good evening, San Francisco. This is Matthew Fredbloom. Yesterday, October 27, 1970, Chronicle reporter Paul Avery received a Halloween letter signed with Z and the Zodiac Killer's cross and circle. Handwritten on this note was, "Peekaboo, you are doomed." The threat was taken seriously and received a front-page story on the Chronicle. Soon after receiving this letter, Avery received another anonymous letter alerting him to the similarities between the Zodiac's activities and the unsolved murder of Mrs. Bates. As you recall, she was murdered 4 years ago, early at the City College in Riverside in the greater Los Angeles area.